Hey guys, it's TFNut. Welcome back to the channel. Today we're doing another action figure review. This time it's going to be of the brand new Star Wars The Black Series, Star Wars Book of Boba Fett, The Mandalorian, Glavis Ringworld, Glavis. I'm not exactly sure how to say it actually, but we have the new Mando here. A lot of us have been anticipating this new Mando body here for a little bit. I think actually for almost a year. Originally, I was like, I don't really need it. I have the previous ones. But as time went on, I thought that this body mold here actually did look considerably better than those previous figures. And they already looked pretty good to begin with. But I am glad that they have pretty much a 100% brand new figure here. We do have two versions of this. Again, this is the Book of Boba Fett version. And then we're going to get a Mandalorian Season 3, I believe. I haven't watched it yet, I know. But the second version is coming out pretty much this exact same body, but that next one coming out is going to not come with the jetpack or the cloth cape. It's going to have these, the plastic one, unfortunately. So I do think that this version here, Book of Boba Fett version, is probably the one to get. I've rambled enough. We do have the return of the really nice window box here. Lots of great colors going on here. I've always liked the design of this box. On the back here, we do have the Mandalorian Glavis Ringworld read-up. It's multilingual if you want to pause and read that right now. We do have a barcode here in case you need that if you find this in stores. It's a little bit hard to get right now. I think it's starting to be easier to get on Entertainment Earth, which I got it from there, and Big Bad Toy Store. Here is the figure out of the pack. You get a 360 shot, and I really do like this figure. Unfortunately, I cannot find my 2020 Beskar Mando. I do apologize. The move must have been rough for that particular figure because I just can't find it right now. But I do have some other things to compare it with later. Let's talk about the accessories, then we'll take a close look at the figure. First thing I want to do is show off the new Darksaber here. As you can see, it is very similar to the previous one, which I have right here. So here's the thing. We do have way more black and white, like just straight up black and white on the blade here. Whereas this is more of, a darker gray and then a slightly translucent plastic. I want to say they retooled the handle because it looks very identical besides this belt loop right there, which we'll talk about. And of course, being careful, you can pop this off and it is a certain groove here to fit with this end of the saber piece. Probably shouldn't do this, with my arms reaching over a camera. But just to show you, the belt loop here actually works really well. If you start pulling on it, of course, it may want to get loose and pop off. But just setting it in there, sometimes it doesn't even stay this well. I mean, it will jostle a little. But sometimes you can't even peg in the saber into the holes on some Jedi's belts. Sometimes it just doesn't work. Sometimes the belt loops just don't work on some of these sabers. So this is actually a really nice one that they've done. And I don't plan on doing a ton of photos at the end of the video today. I do want to go ahead and show you just one-handed. Maybe I'll do a two-handed pose at the end. But one-handed holding that saber. I have almost everything else to compare, like previous accessory-wise, with the Mando, except the actual figure and the jetpack. So this, I do believe we've gotten this before. In the line, it could be the exact same sculpt that we've got with 2020's Mando, which it was already pretty good. But this, I think it was just gray back then. This here, oh, that nice silver paint on here, that is really sick. The overall detailing was pretty good then, and it's still pretty good now. We do have these prongs going right here, and this peg. We do have a slot all the way back here. You notice that rifle slot. We'll talk about that in a second. But you can plug this in. And this actually, I thought it was going to be a little too loose. But giving it a slight tug, it's not coming off. Shaking it, it won't come off either. And then eventually, you give it enough force to pull out, and it will come off. But now with this soft, fabric, cape, you can hide this here, drag it to the side. You don't have to deal with the crummy plastic cape anymore. So that's really nice. We do have a new blaster pistol, and I say this is new because originally I thought I wasn't going to be able to show off a comparison because I couldn't find the other Mando, but this is the previous one, and these are different sculpts. And I do want to say that oh my gosh, actually, I don't think about it. No, I'm pretty sure the size of the barrel on the new one on top Yeah, and then the handle, see the grip there? Yeah, that's all different. I was about to double guess myself. It is a slightly bigger blaster pistol on the top now compared to the previous one. I believe this came with a 2020 Mando. This always looked really nice, and they didn't need to redo it, but it still looks good even if they did redo it. Silver on all the inner workings around the barrel and all that looks great. That handle could have some better paint. There's a little bit of silver splotching on there. There's not really any paint. It's just molded in this brown, I'm pretty sure. Actually, it could be paint. I'm not sure. But the wood detailing there is nice. One thing I like about this new Mando compared to the previous one, which I have the 2019 one to do a comparison with, that strap always got in the way when you put in the blaster pistol. It looked good, but this little piece here would always stick out. They just straight up got rid of it this time around, which I wasn't paying attention to every detail of Mando in the book of Boba Fett, but I think that's fine they got rid of that so it can actually function and work. Last but not least, I'm just going to go ahead and show you the knife here. The grip is way too loose. It kind of, and it doesn't actually work at all. But yeah, we do have a knife, but there's nowhere to put the sheath in, I'm pretty sure. I've been looking, I can't find one. We have this gray, very dark gray handle here, and then the silver blade that is nicely painted. It's a pretty soft plastic here. So all that's really nice. I do want to go ahead and show you guys, actually, the previous rifle that he came with. He doesn't have it anymore, of course, but this figure will be able to hold it. And not only that, you can plug it onto the back. You see that hole I was talking about earlier on the back, on the top left of the back of the shoulder. You can just stick it in there and it actually will fit in pretty nice. Now, it's not a 100% perfect fit because there is a decent amount of plastic preventing it from going all the way in, but this is a way better fit compared to the previous Mandos actually with this rifle system. So once again, I do apologize that I don't have a 2020 Beskar Mando. The best I can do is the 2019 version, which does have differences in the armor pieces. A lot of the body is the same here compared to the 2021. But, differences in armor and a different chest piece. Let's take a quick look. We're not going to do like a complete side-by-side where I spend like 20 minutes looking at every fine detail compared to the legs. But, and like arms and all that. A lot of this is new. In fact, I thought that the elbows from down, that would be like, new or reuse, I should say. When you look close enough, it's a little hard for me to tell because I'm moving everything around. But we do have a brand new sculpt for those elbows. So that's a smooth joint there. That's a rigid joint. I do think the ridges are actually more prominent in the new one compared to the old one. And that joint piece right there is thicker this time around. Biggest difference you're going to notice, because again, this shares the same parts almost, including the head as the 2020 version. The helmet is a new sculpt and it is more accurate. This was way shorter. This needed to be more bent in. Design-wise, it's kind of hard to explain, but you could just tell just how different it is. The left one is way more accurate to how his helmet is supposed to look in the show. Biggest difference, of course, again, plastic cape, soft fabric cape. That's kind of redundant, but so glad that they didn't use this. That cape was the bane of my existence, not gonna lie. This is such a nice looking figure. Talking about the actual figure now. I really do like this head sculpt. Originally, I didn't mind the original one, but as time has gone on, yeah, it needed to be updated, and this is way more accurate. But the black and the T-visor, all that is really clean, actually. Sometimes there's some splotching, and this is really good. There is that is not a paint defect. There it is, as in that's not a splotch, but that is a scratch. So paint has been taken away. I can't really fix that too easily, so that's unfortunate. But the silver on here definitely, it looks like, if it's not molded like this, there's definitely a base coat of silver, and this is just really nice. I really like the scratch on top there. That's a dent right there, and then like the back panel piece there, the earpieces. All this is fantastic looking. This is a new strap compared to the previous one. Yeah, because the way the buckles look, all that is completely different. And again, fabric cape. This is actually rather stretchy, interestingly enough. And there is a way where, like, the way that this bends into the armor, it's accurate to the show too. I do want to mention, without trying to pull too hard, there is a peg in the armor piece going into the chest, and there's a hole right there on the cape. If you pull on this too hard, this will come undone, and then getting all that back in there is going to be rather difficult. I think it's almost coming off for me, so that's a little unfortunate. But later on, I'm going to have to fix this up so that all the stuff that's riding up into the neck is going down into the chest piece. The chest piece is rather big, and there's a lot of space here, but that's because they want you to be able to like pull this back a little bit. That's pretty glued in there, isn't it? But they want you to be able to tuck this in a little bit into the in between the gray there on the chest and the armor piece. We have the nice armor piece here with the Mudhorn sigil. Again, all the silver is really nice on here. We have these like brownish gray parts here for the under armor. You have all those wrinkles right there. See what this looks like on there. And that back piece there, the buckles on here, it actually has some nice leather detailing on that strap, and then you can see how the back armor looks. And then on the butterfly joint, they do have some detailing on the back right there. So yeah, they really did a good job with like all the new tooling on this. Can this rotate? I have no idea. This does feel like a separate piece, but I don't think it rotates this time around compared to the previous one. It definitely rotated on the previous one. Interesting. But the silver on there and all the detailing, you have the whistling birds piece right there. And this gauntlet, it looks nice. The hands are even different too, because there's a large space between the index finger and the rest of the hand compared to this. Like this is way more prominent, sticks out more compared to the previous one. And it's also pretty rounded here. It's a little bit more like it's ridged up a little bit, as you see with the index finger. So all that looks really good. I think the triangle's smaller too. Some of the paint's not super clean. You see some stuff go on there on the back of the hand. It is a little bit hard to get that down right. I can understand. Buckles again. Actually some nice silver right here on like these little side armor pieces. A little bit of like burgundy going on to the blue there, unfortunately. This buckle there. Take this out for a quick second. Leather detailing all around, looking good. Nice scratches, some silver right here. A lot of it is just mostly this brown, the brown pants going on here. I think, yeah, this is a pretty dark brown compared to this being a little bit more like faded. So that's a little inconsistent, just those colors going on there. The leg armor, though, oh, that looks really nice and silver. A little bit of weathering going on here, too. I forget if there's other weathering in other parts. It might just be this leg armor piece that's weathered. But all this looks good. You have the wrinkling on the inner thighs, outer thighs too. This is a soft plastic knee piece, I believe. Yes, so kind of like some of the Stormtroopers, I think. This is a loose piece that moves around. And I need to maneuver this to be a little bit more flesh, or flush, I should say. And yeah, so there we got that. And then we have this boot here with these little canisters. Oh, wow, a lot of brown bleeding onto the silver. But we have like a darker gray into the brown here, a little bit of lighter brown mixed in with this almost burgundy color strap or pouch right there. And that's what the bottom of the boots look like, a little bit of treading going on there. So overall, again, there is a lot of, it's completely brand new, and I think it's actually better for it. Again, the previous one wasn't bad, but this here, I think the proportions are better compared to the previous one. I think it just looks more natural. This looks a little wonky when it stands up sometimes, so this looks way more like how he stands in the show, way more imposing in certain poses, so that's really cool. Now for articulation, this does have a dumbbell joint system going on in here, side to side, swivels all the way around. Just can do all this. That's as far up as it wants to go. So you can make them fly up. You may need some help with the torso joint though. Down is actually really good. We do have a butterfly joint. It doesn't want to stick the pose when you pull it back too much, but it goes forward and back pretty smooth. And this is I think this is a separate armor piece here that they've been doing. So if you move this up and then hold this, it won't move with it, but you can just like shimmy that back in there. This is far out as those arms want to go. It actually goes out pretty far. We go can it go all the way around with that? Yeah, you might want to maneuver this a bit though. You have a swivel right here at the elbow and a single joint elbow, and it is at 90 degrees, which I think was like that on the previous one. swivel at the wrist here. This goes up and down, whereas this one goes in and out, as you can see here. Ball jointed waist. Yeah, so you do have this piece actually going into the armor there. And the back, yeah, it could be better. Forward also could be better. There's some decent hindering going on, unfortunately. Side to side isn't too bad, though. And this, oh gosh. I don't know what it is, but the swivels on these figures have just been really tight right at the ball joint there. So I got to shock oil that later. Legs go out like this. Not really back at all. In and out like so. Upper thigh swivel. Single joint knee, which there was actually a double joint in the previous one, which that has over the new one here. And that's like a little over 90, unfortunately. Swivels here. Down. Oh gosh, you could go down more. Up a little bit and then ankle rocker. Measuring out the figure, you can see here we're getting close to 15.5 centimeters. That's going to put this a little bit under 6.25 inches tall. Again, I don't have the 2020 Beskar Mando, unfortunately, but I do have Bo-Katan. You can see it's a little bit shorter. We sadly lost Carl Weathers this past week, so I did want to bring out the Greef Karga figure for a size comparison there. And you can see Grogu in the middle of them right there. It's going to be really short, of course. Over on the far right, that's the first ever Mando I had a comparison with earlier, and I think it actually might be a tiny bit taller compared to the new one here, but not by much. Then on the left, we do have a standard size Marvel Legends figure. Overall, this is a really nice figure. I think the Black Series team actually did a really nice job here. I know I'm pretty critical of them in recent past, but this one is a really nice figure. If you somehow don't have a Black Series Mando, which I know a lot of you do. This is the one to get. Now, it's not perfect. At least my particular one isn't. I do have some paint scuffs. I do think the range of motion in some areas, mostly the knees, is actually a little bit worse compared to the previous one. But that's really where my complaints stop. This is a really nice looking figure that has a lot of new sculpting and tooling that we really needed. That we didn't know we needed, actually. For Mando, especially that helmet, it looks way better this time around than the previous one. All the armor pieces on here actually look a lot more natural than I thought it was going to. It's a really nice body mold for this particular figure. The amount of accessories that we have here is really nice compared to what we're going to get with the Mines of Mandalore version, which we're going to get like one less accessory, and we're not going to get the fabric cape with that one like we have here. And even though it's not on a bendy wire, it's still pretty nice here. Overall, a really solid figure. I said earlier it was a little bit harder to get. It was sold out for like maybe a week or two. I think it's easier to get now. I'll try to leave some links down in the description below if it is still available in some areas. I know you can't get it on Amazon, but I got mine from Entertainment Earth. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Comment down below what you think about the figure, what you think about the review. Leave a like, share amongst your friends. Follow me on Instagram for more content over there, and I'll see you guys later.